All right, UFC Vegas 112 happening this weekend from the Apex Center. Carter Masterson and Dean Pomeroy bringing Jab Cross Hook Episode 3 to you here from Syracuse University, Flint Hall, Floor 3. Not the greatest card we got coming up this week. We're back in the Apex, which we won't be at until mid-February. But these fights just aren't that good.
I'm not going to get into my thoughts about the Apex. I think it has its benefits. It is kind of cool to hear the fighters, hear the striking, because it's there's no fans. But it's this thing was built for COVID, back in 2020. Why do we still have fights in the Apex in 2025, almost 2026? I'm sorry, the new Paramount coming in 2026, Apex needs to go.
Yep.
I'm sorry, it just needs to go.
They never had the Apex back in UFC's glory days.
Yeah.
They were selling out arenas every week, which is what we need to do to grow the sport.
Yeah.
Of course, we still have the majority we've moved away from having Apex be the majority of the fight nights.
Which I'm glad.
But it should be maybe 1 or 2 or 3 a year.
Yeah, they've been I'll give the UFC this. They've been doing a good job.
9 or 10 this year.
Yeah, they got them down this year. It was worse last year, but I'd like to see less.
Less than 5 this year, please, yeah. UFC. Even if the cards are this low of quality, just put them in an arena.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'd rather see a UFC card than nothing at all,
Especially because we're going 6 weeks without it, but at least we get to come back to one of the greatest cards of all time in UFC 324.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if there's any more fights added to that. There was some this weekend. It looks like a banger card. We'll get to that when we get to it in January. But we will get started at the top. Teresa Bleda versus Jamie Lynn Horth at women's flyweight. Bleda comes into this one as a slight favorite. She has not won since 2023 because she hasn't fought since 2023. This is going to be a 1.5 years plus off for her. But I'm going to take her by decision because last time we saw someone fight off 1.5 years, notice it was Macy Barber. I picked against her because of that, and it didn't work for me. That's not the only reason I'm taking her, though. Blade is the more skilled fighter, but anything can happen after a long layoff. Jamie Lynn Horth is not that great. These wins are nothing special. Mm-hmm. She's 3-2 in the UFC, but lost to Veronica Hardy and Miranda Maverick, her 2 toughest fights. Vanessa Demopoulos, a win in that one last time out. She was an underdog in that one. That was a pretty good win for Jamie Lynn Horth. But again, it's just not that impressive.
Yeah, the UFC Apex card loves kicking these off with some women's fight. But I'm gonna take Tirza Bleda here. I think she's the better fighter. She beat Gabriela Fernandez, who's pretty good. Yep. Gabriela Fernandez does have a win over Wang Kong, who's really good.
Wang Kong, future champ.
Wang Kong, future champ. So I'm gonna go with the Chechnya fighter here. I'm gonna take her by decision.
And look at her only loss, Natalia Silva, who's going to be fighting for the belt after UFC 324.
Yeah.
She stepped in.
By no means am I encouraging anyone to put their money on this fight.
No.
I'll take the younger woman here.
I think there's a whole lot of skips in this one.
Yeah.
But the fights happen all the same. This one, Alan Fry, the 27-year-old heavyweight, makes his UFC debut versus Guilherme Pat, the question-mark-year-old fighter from Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
I said question-mark-year-old fighter. That's right. He doesn't have an age on any or they put it up on ESPN. They say he's 31. Earlier in the week, there was nothing. They still don't have his age up on Tapology. I really don't. I really don't know. There's no film on these guys.
Barely.
There's no. We look at he beat Alan Fry beat Ryan Shuck.
Yeah.
But in 30 seconds for the Ultimate Battlegrounds 25 Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
Ryan Shuck was competing for the championship when he was 2-2. He was 2-2, and he was competing for the belt at that. That's terrible. The other fighters he's fought 1-4, 2-1, 1-0, 2-3. What are we doing? This other guy 1-1, 0-0, 3-1, 0-0, 4-4. These guys suck.
Yeah, the heavyweight is just so strived for new talent. I guess they're just bringing in anyone at this point. They're bringing in guys off the street. I actually did watch film on this fight. Unfortunately, I had the free time to, and I watched Pat. I can't really pronounce Guilherme Pat. I watched him fight.
I think it's
Guilherme Pat. I watched him fight like a 5'11" fat DC looking fighter who was this guy, and he looked like the worst fighter in the world. And Guilherme looked pretty good. He was beating him up. I guess I'm gonna take Pat here just because physically he looks stronger. Like he looks jacked. He looks like he's on the juice. So
Alan Fry is a fat, slow heavyweight.
I'll take Pat just because of the physicality and the height.
It's the only reason I'm taking him. I also think that these guys don't deserve to be in the UFC.
Oh, yeah.
And
they should be on the contender seat.
I think they know. Well, I mean, Guilherme Pat was supposed to be in December. His fight got canceled. They just threw him straight into the UFC. So they see something there. It's that and the fact that he fought in LFA, along with the fact that he's just jacked, that I'm going to go with him. Mm-hmm. But how many times have we seen guys from random organizations come to the UFC and all of a sudden they don't look the same? All of a sudden they look a little bigger because they were on the juice. Pat looks pretty natural in the pictures I've seen, but you can't trust him. You can't trust him.
Yeah.
Moving on. Luana Santos versus Melissa Croden. A lot of money coming in on Melissa Croden. She was plus 140 at the beginning of the week, down to plus 102. I don't got too much of a breakdown for this fight. Luana Santos is okay. She's got wins over Tarinara Lisboa, Juliana Miller. I mean, Maria Agapova is a decent win, I guess. But nothing special. For Croden, it's more the same. Beat Ashley Dean in LFA, who I know the name, but she's not good. And in her UFC debut, knocked out, actually, Tainara Lisboa as well. So they both have a common opponent. They both of them finished her, which means she's awful. If you're getting finished consistently in WMMA, it means you're really bad.
Yeah.
I'm going Santos just because she's a grappler, and in a fight where it's grappler versus striker, both are somewhat low level. Give me the grappler. She's also ranked in that UFC women's bantamweight division, which is extremely inactive, because a lot of them struggle to make that weight because they're coming down from bigger weight classes.
Yeah.
She's ranked 15th in that one. I guess if she wins this one, you move her up the rankings.
Yeah. I'll take Melissa Croden here. I think she looked really good in Canada. I did watch her fight back in October.
Was the Alan DeRitter card?
Yeah. And I think I either looked at that fight or watched it. I don't exactly remember. But she looked really good. She had a knockout, which is rare to see in women's MMA, honestly, especially at bantamweight. Luana Santos, she's a grappler. She's got, I'll say this, a low center of gravity. She looks good on the ground, but I think physically Melissa Croden is more imposing, and I think she'll knock her out. I actually think it's gonna be the third round and finish her. So
I could see that being the case. Neither of these fighters are anything special.
Yeah.
Moving on to more heavyweights that no one really knows. Sean Sharaf versus Stephen Asplund. There's one thing that is giving me something to pick in this fight. And once again, Asplund's making his UFC debut. Sharaf has one UFC fight. It's that UFC fight that's going to help me make this pick.
Yeah.
It was a loss. Not only was it a loss, it was a loss to Junior Tafa.
Yeah.
Junior Tafa's 2-4 in the UFC. He's only beat Sharaf and Parker Porter, who hasn't fought since he lost to Tafa. He just quit the sport because he's that bad. And it makes sense. Like, these guys they get cut from the UFC and they're like, all right, I mean, I'm not that good. I'm not making it back.
Yeah.
Call it quits. Junior Tafa's awful. He lost to Tuco Tokos. He got choked out by Tuco Tokos. That's all I need to see. Give me Asplund by first round KO.
So, actually, I know this might be a surprise to you, but this is one of my favorite fights on the card. I think this fight is actually going to be really fun. I think it has to end in a KO. So, Sean Sharaf, I watched this fight against Tafa. What's really good about him is he has insane power, and he's really big. but he gasses out literally after like 2 minutes of fighting. So, and Steven Asplund is a guy who's willing to stand in front of him, and he has like, I saw Steven Asplund on the Contender Series. He won a fight in 16 seconds.
That was a really fun fight.
Ridiculous power. This guy's 6'5", 261, and he's a really interesting story, actually. He lost 300 pounds. He has an insane amount of loose skin on his body, and it's a really cool story to see. And I think the UFC really wants to build up Asplund because he's an interesting fighter. But my worry is, I think this fight's really close, but Sean Sheriff is a guy who will throw bombs, and Steven Asplund is a guy who will stand there and eat bombs. So this fight has to end in a KO. I mean, like, if I had to put a prop up for it, I'd say take the under.
Under half a round, maybe.
Under half a round. But give me Steven Asplund here. His nickname's Concrete, which is kind of badass. I like that. But he seemed to me like he was good. I know he didn't show a lot on the Contender Series because it was only 15 seconds. But yeah, I think he has death touch. I think he has death touch. I think Sean Sheriff also has death touch, and I think we're gonna see Steven, win this fight. I think he's gonna knock him out in the first round.
It's a battle of whose chin is worse because they're both gonna be throwing bombs.
Yeah,
we'll see who goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, Neil, the Haitian sensation Magny, takes on Yaroslav Dynamo Amosov, making his UFC debut. 28-1. That's a flashy record. It's enough to make him minus 400. Neil Magny's no stranger to being a big KO or a big underdog. He has been a massive underdog in both of his last two fights where he has come through and gotten the win. He's plus 280 this week. He was plus 140 versus Zaleski. He was a little more actually, and he was plus 295 versus Jake Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
So he's no stranger to being that. My pick here is going to be Neil Magny. Two reasons. Reason number one, Yaroslav Amosov's coming over from where? Ukraine and Bellator.
Mm-hmm.
Fade the Bellator fighter every time they come over. He is 28-1. He is a former Bellator champion. How many times have we seen a former Bellator champion come over and just get outclassed?
A lot.
I think that's what's going to happen. Magny is red hot with those 2 wins in the past couple months. He has no problem stepping in the ring often. He took a lot of time off. This is now his 3rd fight in 5 months.
Yeah.
He's 6-5 since 2022. His 5 losses are to Shavkat Rakhmonov, Gilbert Burns, Ian Machado Gary, Michael Morales, and Carlos Braches.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous. The UFC left this guy out to dry, and they keep giving him tough fights. Magny's tough. Magny's really quite talented. I'm going to take him to win by decision.
I'm going to flip the opposite way here. I'm going to take Amosov here. I think, so like looking at Neil Magny, he's good. He's 38. He had that win against Jake Matthews where he basically got knocked out, and then they let it keep going, and then he won by sub. So, and Jake Matthews is good. I'm not going to put any hate on Jake Matthews, but, I think this guy, Yaroslav here, he's really good. His record is 100% padded. 28-1 is ridiculous. A lot of it, you look at a lot of his early fights, they're all like fake opponents that like have 0, wins. But he's won
0-3 Ravil Razaev
like
in his 11th fight. What are we doing?
Yeah, he's fighting literal hands. So his record is 100% padded. But in the PFL, he fought a guy, Josh Jackson, who he did lose to. Josh Jackson is very legit. He's probably one of the best PFL fighters in the organization. And, it could have been a little fluky. I don't know what exactly the stats were, but I think it was decently close. I think Josh Jackson is actually a really similar opponent to Neil Magny, actually. I think that's a good comparison, considering he lost to Josh Jackson. But I think Neil Magny is just older, and I think he's worse, and I think the UFC just does this to Neil Magny. He's like the ultimate gatekeeper. They love putting new prospects against him, and I think the goal here is for Yaroslav to win. So I'm going to take Yaroslav here. I think he should be. I think he should get it done.
Another reason I like Magny's game on the feet, like he'll stand there and strike with anyone. He's got a reach and height advantage in this one.
Yeah.
Not that I think that matters all that much. Amosov's a guy that's going to go for takedowns. He's going to try to get you down and submit you. He's 11-0 by submission, and he's never lost a decision either. I don't think he's gonna be able to knock out Magny, just because I just don't think he's skilled enough. And I think Magny's too game on the ground as well that he'll be able to just get right back up if he gets taken down. But Magny's shown to have a chin. So if Amosov gets a good combo in there, goes down, could totally see a TKO here.
Yep.
Next up on the card, starting the main card, which is 7 fights for some reason according to Tapology. I think it's just because the ESPN 2 portion starts there, and then the main card technically starts at Kennedy Nzechukwu. God, this fight I'm not looking forward to. I don't think either of these guys are very good. I was leaning Bagdasarian at the start of the week, but I mean, and I'm gonna poke holes at both of these guys' records. He won a UD on Contender Series, which doesn't normally get you a contract, but it was a good performance, and it was in 2020. They're in need of fighters. None of his wins are still in the UFC. All 3 of his UFC wins are no longer in the UFC. One of his losses is no longer in the UFC. His most recent loss was to John Silva. They were just trying to build up John Silva there, give him a highlight, and they got it. But for Brito, this guy's not good either. Like, once again, only one of his wins, Andre Fili, is still in the UFC, and his win versus Andre Fili was in early 2022. And recently his losses aren't great either. A split decision with William Gomez, who's not that good. UD to Pat Sabatini doesn't suck. We just saw Sabatini go out there and beat Chepe.
Very good wrestler.
I think he'll be fighting in the rankings soon. But Brito's supposed to be able to wrestle, and he just got dominated. However, I think the wrestling is what comes into effect here. Bagdasarian can defend takedowns, but not at too high of a level. I think Brito, over the course of 3 rounds, is going to be able to stand with him, and I think he's just going to get him on the ground, and I think he is going to end up getting the sub. Bagdasarian is just not good on the ground. He's both of his loss to Josh Kulabau, who's no longer in the UFC, was via rear naked choke. His first loss was via submission as well. In his first ever professional fight. I taking Brito by sub. I'm taking Brito just in general, but very unconfidently.
Yeah, the biggest reason why, I can see why you want to take Joanderson Brito is because he has a win over Diego Lopez. On the Contender Series.
Technical decision.
Had 7 minutes of control time on Diego Lopez. But I'm going to flip I know this sounds crazy, I'm going to flip the other way on this fight. I think Bagdasarian is actually really good. I think his striking is actually really nice. I'm not even going to lie.
He's a high output guy.
I actually like Bagdasarian. I've actually watched some of his film. So he has a win against Dennis Bazooka, who I think is actually a really good fighter on the Contender Series by unanimous decision, who is still in the UFC. He had that loss to Gene Silva. He also hasn't won in 2 years. I know I'm mentioning a lot of bad things about him, but number one, I think his striking is really good, and I think matchup-wise, he matches up really well against Brito. I think Brito's going to struggle to get a takedown against him. Brito's game plan is going to be to get a takedown and control him. But Brito, looking at Brito, so first of all, when he did beat Diego Lopez, he beat him with the control time. But looking at Joanderson Brito, he has a loss to William Gomez. He got dominated on the ground by Pat Sabatini, who was way better than him on the ground. They're both supposed to be ground fighters, and Sabatini was better. He had a win over Jack Shore, which was basically the reason why he won that fight was because Jack Shore, I think, had a leg injury where his leg was bleeding because he checked a leg kick or something. But Jack Shore was winning that fight. So honestly, that fight would have been a loss. And then Jonathan Pierce, he was losing to, who's a horrible fighter on the feet. So, and then he beat Weston Wilson, who's literally the worst UFC fighter I've ever seen, ever. That guy, don't even get me started with the worst fighter of all time. So, no longer
with the UFC anymore.
No longer with. Well, 100%, he's the worst. He was literally the worst fighter I've ever seen be put into a UFC arena. So, anyways, the way I see it is I think Bagdasarian's a good fighter, and I think Brito hasn't proven to me. The only thing he's done is he has really good control on the ground. I think Bagdasarian can finish this one early because he has like really good striking and really good hands. So I'm gonna take Bagdasarian by knockout here. I'm gonna take him in. I'm gonna take him early. I think I'm gonna take him round 1. So that's my prediction.
I could totally see that happening. It's a, like I said,
It could go either way.
very low confidence pick for me. Speaking of low confidence pick, Amanda Lemos versus Jillian Robertson. Lemos is really old, and she's stepping in on this one for short notice.
Yeah.
She just lost pretty convincingly earlier this year versus Tatiana Suarez. Jillian Robertson is getting back in here on a 4-fight win streak in the UFC.
Yeah.
Was supposed to fight Lucindo, who is Lemos's last loss, or Lemos's last win. But that got canceled. Lemos steps in. I think Robertson needs a statement win. Lemos is tough to take down, but I'm just gonna go with Robertson because I think she's gonna be the more prepared fighter. And I think the speed difference is really going to show for Robertson, and she's going to be able to win a lot of the exchanges on the ground. And when it gets on the feet, I don't think she's got it. Yeah. I don't think Lemos has anything for her anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one. I think Jillian Robertson is really good on the ground. She's got really good takedowns. Amanda Lemos, to me, is just like old and getting worse. She's 38. She didn't look that bad in her last fight. It was Tatiana Suarez. It's really good. But she did lose. Tatiana Suarez looked really bad in the fight too, though. So I think Jillian Robertson's coming up. She's a good fighter. I think she'll be able to get a takedown or two and really just control her throughout the entire fight. And I see her winning by unanimous decision. So that's how I see it.
Now kicking off the actual main card, Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Marcus Buchecha. Buchecha, since coming to the UFC, has only had one fight, and it was a unanimous decision loss to Martin Buday, where he just played right into Budai's skill set.
Yeah.
He just did everything.
Exactly.
He couldn't get a takedown. Or he didn't even really try for a takedown. When this guy's, the one thing about Marcus Buchecha, he is great on the ground. He's a former grappling champion.
Yeah.
His record is unbelievable. I highly recommend you go just look at his record. He's about 25-4 in grappling. But he just chose not to wrestle versus Martin Buday.
Yeah,
and I don't think this is a good fight for him at all. I think Nzechukwu is a nightmare matchup, quite frankly. The African Savage, since moving up, he crushed the cans. He knocked out Chris Barnett in the first round. He knocked out Lucas Brzeski in the first round, both of who are awful.
Yeah.
This guy has 2 wins on the Contenders Series, which is a while ago by a split decision in strikes, and since then he has fought in. He started at 205 and ended up making his way up to the heavyweight division. He lost his last one against Walter Walker, but I think Walter Walker is really good.
Yeah.
So I don't really think you can put too much stock into that one. But I also think the biggest thing here is I think Buchecha sucks.
Yeah.
I don't think he's good. I think it's straight up that easy. Couldn't take down Buday. He's not on the roids anymore. Look at old pictures of him and look at a picture of him on weigh-ins. He's still jacked. Don't get me wrong. A little bit looser than he was before. And Nzechukwu is no joke on the ground. He can defend takedowns. But I could see Buchecha taking it. I don't think he does.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go the other way. I think Buchecha wins this fight. The reason is because it's purely matchup. So Kennedy Nzechukwu, he's a great striker. He's 6'5". He used to fight at a light heavyweight, and he was not doing as hot as he was. He beat Chris Barnett. He beat Chris Barnett, but in that win, Chris Barnett injured his leg before even starting the fight. He was jumping around during the Bruce Buffer introductions and injured his leg, and it's also Chris Barnett, who's the biggest, fattest heavyweight of all time.
The worst.
He
just sucks.
And then he beat Brzeski, who sucks. Don't even get me started on Brzeski. So, so he lost to Walter Walker. Walter Walker, to me, is a bit of a similar style to Buchecha. He's a BJJ guy. He goes for those heel hooks, goes for those takedowns. I think Kennedy Nzechukwu is an easy guy to take down in the heavyweight division. I think he's tall. He's a little skinny. He's very skinny for a heavyweight. He's 238 in his last fight, which is not exactly huge. Buchecha could literally almost have a 30-pound weight advantage here. Well, he's not going to because he doesn't bulk up fully, but Buchecha is going to have a weight advantage. He's going to be 20 pounds heavier, and that can help you get a takedown when you're 20 pounds heavier than a guy. So I'm going to take Buchecha just purely off of matchup. He's a great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, which is the highest level of Jiu-Jitsu. He's really good on the ground, and I expect him to get a takedown and control Nzechukwu. And I actually expect him to win by sub. I think Nzechukwu is going to get caught in something, and I think he's going to get submitted in the second round.
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
I think you got to watch weigh-ins if you have any interest in betting on this fight. If Buchecha looks fatter than he did last time, and he still just looks less and less ripped,
yeah,
you fade him.
Absolutely.
And if Nzechukwu comes up and looks, if he's continued to bulk up and add muscle, that's also something.
Yeah, don't get me wrong.
If it comes up and Buchecha is looking jacked and Nzechukwu still weighs in at around 240 pounds, I think I'm probably switching with you. I think I'm probably taking Buchecha.
Yeah.
Moving on, Morgan Charrier versus Melquizael Costa. Melquizael Costa, the Dalmatian, versus the last pirate, Morgan Charrier. Charrier, I don't think he's that good. I think he's being overrated. Why he's getting hyped up, I don't really understand. Is there anything on this that just makes you excited about him?
He's got good hands. He's this French fighter who fights on a lot of these French cards. He beat Nate Landwehr in his last fight, which was an absolute war. He's fun to watch.
It was close for Nate.
Yeah, it was close.
Landwehr's not that good.
He did lose to Nathaniel Wood, who I think is really good. I think Nathaniel Wood is a really good fighter, but I think Nathaniel Wood's also kind of small. So the thing about Costa is he's really tall, and what he likes to do is kind of push you up against the fence and use his height and reach. But Charrier, he's a good boxer. This fight's really 50-50. It's really hard for me to really choose a winner in this one. I have a slight edge towards Costa just because of the size and just because how he looked in his last fight against Erosa. He looked really good. He almost finished him. And he also is really good on the ground. So, I think this is going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to be a close fight. I'm going to take Costa by decision. I think it's a really close fight. I think it's really fun. So I'm excited to see this one.
I'm very confidently taking Costa by decision.
Yeah.
He's lost 2 fights since he entered the UFC. He's 5-2 to Thiago Moise and Steve Garcia.
Yeah.
Both of who are quite good.
Mm-hmm.
Garcia, of course, more so than Thiago Moise.
Mm-hmm.
He's on a 4-fight winning streak, and Juicy J, Julian Erosa, that's a good win. That's a good win.
That is a good one.
I think it's a better win than Nate Landwehr, but I think those are both their best wins.
Yeah.
For me, it's the fact that every time Charrier has gone up in competition, he's lost. You even look on Cage Warriors. He lost to Paul Hughes. He lost to Jordan Vucenic, who we're seeing come over to the UFC.
Yeah.
I think it's every time he goes up against someone who's high quality, I think he loses, and I think it's Melquizael Costa. That's one of my favorite picks on the card.
Yeah.
His loss. It's not like Charrier's losses are bad or anything. It's just that I think Costa's grappling is going to be able to negate what Charrier does best, and I don't think his striking is better than Costa's either. I think he gets dominated. I think it's 30-27. Moving on, this is a very exciting fight.
Yeah.
Cesare Oleksiejczuk versus Cesar Almeida. You got a couple of Dana White Contender Series guys. It was 3-0 Cesar Almeida, who went on Dana White Contender Series and got a UD win and a contract. Since then, he is 3-1 in the UFC. He's only lost to Roman Kopylov by a split decision. So looking at that, you're like, that's pretty impressive. He was scheduled to fight Christian Leroy Duncan. Clearly, they think pretty highly of him.
Yeah.
But he's 37, and he's 7-1. He got into this very late. He's a former kickboxing champion. He had a trilogy with Alex Pereira, where he lost. He got the middle fight, though. So he took 1 off of Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
Which is, take that to the grave.
Pretty crazy.
And since he made the switch from kickboxing to MMA. He's been good, but I'm not going to trust an old prospect versus the brother of one of Michelle Oleksiejczuk is on a rocket ship to the rankings right now.
Yeah.
And I think Cesare will be right there behind him. Now, has Oleksiejczuk really beaten anyone? No. He was a Polish champion and he defended his belt multiple times. He got three title defenses in, and then won another belt in a different regional promotion. His Danway Contender Series performance was beautiful. And we mentioned Marcus McGee in our last episode. I think Cesar Almeida is actually pretty similar to Marcus McGee.
Yeah.
He's got no great wins, but a solid loss, and he's that old prospect. I think Cesare is just really good.
Yeah.
That's really all it is.
Yeah,
I'm not going to overthink it. I think Cesare is just really talented, and I think he's going to prove it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is almost a lock. You look at the Oleksiejczuk brothers, they both train for Fighting Nerds now, which is really good. The Fighting Nerds, I mean, obviously have been on a hot streak recently. Actually not, because Gene Silva lost and Diego,
yeah, they're the hottest team.
They're still one of the best, organizations or training organizations. So, but you look at Cesar Almeida, his knockout win against Abdul Razak Al Hassan was so funny. That knockout was hilarious. I rewatched it the other night. It was literally Abdul just was like swinging for the fences, powerful, and just gets hit and just falls back and gets knocked out. It was so funny. That was a beautiful knockout. Cesar Almeida, though, I just don't think he's very good. You can have highlights like that and not be very good, So I actually thought he was kind of losing the fight to Abdul Razak Al Hassan, who's now out of the UFC, because Abdul had a knocked out against him. So, that's kind of like the point where if Abdul is knocking you down and you're getting into a war like that with Abdul, I'm sorry, this Oleksiejczuk guy is going to be too skilled, and that's why I think Oleksiejczuk's a lock. I'm going to take him by round one. I think he finishes this guy Almeida. I think he gets him out of there easily, and I think this is really going to push Oleksiejczuk to not ranked opponent next, but this is going to push his name out there a little bit. And he's 25, he's really young. I think he's actually going to be, my prediction for his career is I think he's going to be better than his older brother. I think usually the younger brothers always get picked on
when they're both pro athletes.
Yeah,
it typically is the younger brother.
Yeah, so I'm taking the younger brother here, Oleksiejczuk, to win by knockout in round one. Easy.
I am taking the exact same thing. This is a fight, the next one, that I literally just changed my prediction on as we were sitting here.
Yeah.
Giga Chikadze versus Kevin Vallejos. Giga Chikadze comes into this one. He was an underdog. He's become a bigger underdog, plus 220 for the formerly ranked featherweight.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Kevin Vallejos, who is a knockout artist. What do you see in this one?
So this one's really tough for me too. I'm probably not going to play, chalk on this one, but Vallejos is really young. He's 24, and what he's done is he had a really, really good fight, a really good win on the Contender Series. I was scouting him out for his last fight against Danny Silva. So what was expected of Vallejos was to finish Danny Silva in that last fight, and he didn't. Danny Silva actually put up a really good fight. I think personally Danny Silva's a really good fighter, but Vallejos, he still looks legit to me. And I think Giga Chikadze, he's one of the greatest kickboxers at featherweight. He has really fast kicks, really strong kicks. He's tall, he's 6 foot. He has a 5-inch height advantage in this fight. So he's got all the advantages he could possibly want. But I've been back and forth. I'm going to take Giga Chikadze here. I'm going to take him just solely based on how good of a kickboxer he is. And he lost to David Onama in his last fight. Not a great loss. It's very low confidence. I think Vallejos has a really good chance of putting his lights out with that power. But yeah, I'm going to say Giga picks him apart for 3 rounds and just wins this one, rides to a decision. That's going to be my prediction.
Yeah, I'm switching my pick back. I'm switching my pick. This is a fight that I would not touch.
Yeah, it's
with
really
any
tough.
with any substantiality.
Yeah.
But I think Chikadze is really good, or he was really good. This is a guy who, in his prime, was beating Edson Barbosa in 2021.
Yeah.
He was up there in the rankings. Then he lost to Calvin Kattar in 2022. Took a year and a half off. Beat Alex Caceres, who was a decent win. But he's lost to Allen and Onama in his last 2 fights. And he's looked game. He missed weight last time out, so I really think he could come out here and just get nuked.
Yeah,
and
100%.
just like I think there's a high chance, especially with the odds being this high, that Chikadze's just done. I think he could go out there and just be an absolute, just send him to the glue factory.
Yeah.
But I think it's too much too soon for.
He's 24. He's
so young.
And he struggled against Danny Silva. And Danny Silva
He's only fought 2 fights in the UFC versus Sung Choi. And Silva, he mentioned, is decent, but he got taken to a decision when he's supposed to be this knockout artist. 11-0. He was versus Danny Silva. He's minus 415.
Yeah.
His knockout line was like minus 110.
Yeah.
It was. And he went out there and just got taken to a decision. I think Chikadze's just too much skill. He's going to be able to keep Vallejos at distance. He's got a massive size advantage. 6 inches of reach, 5 inches of height.
The way I look at it is he's like, Giga Chikadze is like a slightly better version of Danny Silva. Like, Danny Silva is similar build. He's like tall and lengthy for, featherweight. But, I think Chikadze is like a better version, really. He's an inch taller than Danny Silva. And I think that's kind of what we're going to see. We're going to see Vallejos basically fighting a better version of who he did in his last fight, and he's probably going to lose because he's not ready for that step up yet.
Main event time. The only 5-rounder on this card. Brandon Raw Dog Royval takes on Manel Starboy Cap. This is a fight that's been brewing for a while. It's its 3rd time being scheduled this year. Like, that's how you know they want a fight to happen.
Yeah.
They're forcing it into existence. The first time it was Royval who pulled out. The second time it was Cap. This time the fight's on. Starboy comes into this one at 21-7. Royval 17-8. This is a really interesting fight.
Yeah.
Royval coming off a loss to Joshua Van in probably the fight of the year. If not, it'll be up there. Cobb coming off an impressive win streak. He beat Bruno Silva after his loss to Makayev, which everyone knows about. And he knocked out Azu Almabayev, who is really good. Almabayev more of a grappler than the striker. But I think my pick is going to be Brandon Royval. He's got 4 inches of height on him. They've got the same reach exactly, actually. But I just think Royval, with his height, is going to be able to work Cap in the striking, like we've seen him do plenty of times with guys like Moreno, Tyra. He finished KKF, Tim Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
His 4 most recent losses are to former champ Brandon Moreno, 2 losses to former champ Alessandro Pantoja, and a loss to and new Joshua Van. I think Royval's going to be able to work the striking and get himself a lead that Cap's going to have to start pushing.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happens, I think Royval puts him down, and I think he gets TKO.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you here. I think Royval's really good. I think his win against Tesura Tyra has aged really well, especially since Tyra just beat Brandon Royval. So, and it was a split, but he deserved to win that fight. And he looked really good. Like Joshua Van and Royval was a war, but there's an argument if Royval doesn't get knocked down in the last 30 seconds.
I had the round. I was literally about to say that. I had the round for Royval until he got dropped.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there it goes.
So Royval, he's really just talented on the feet. He's so lengthy. Like, and in a 5-round fight, you know, I think he's also better because he has really good cardio. So I don't know if exactly what the odds are. If Royval's a dog, I'd say take him
He's
all day.
plus 220.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's too big of.
I think you should be favored.
I don't know what the odds makers are doing here. Maybe that is a sign to lean towards Manel Kopp.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth taking Royval just for the fact that the odds should not be that far apart. If Kopp was going to be the favorite, I thought it was going to be like minus 150, plus 120. Minus 300 nearly for Manel Kopp. I think that's way too much. Royval, you're getting an awesome number on. And I urge you to at least, if you're a betting man on the UFC, I urge you to at least put a sprinkle on Royval. Those odds are too good to pass up. You're never going to get that good of odds on a former championship contender.
Yeah. And
especially against a guy who is just never fought at that level. Azul Mabayev is his best win, and Azul Mabayev is good, but he's not going to show him anything striking that Royval could.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, Manel Kopp is really good. He's a really good flyweight. I actually have him beating like a lot of these guys, you know, in the top 5 or top 10 flyweight. But you know, like you look into his record, like he's weak on the ground, really, because he has that loss. He's lost to Muhammad Moikaev by unanimous decision. It was really just a dominant performance on the ground. Royval has pretty good ground game. He has like really long legs, and actually, I think surprisingly, he could find himself, you know, in a triangle or something like that. Who knows? You know, who knows where this fight could go? It doesn't have to all be on the feet. Yeah, but I really like Royval here. I think Kopp is a good fighter. I think he's really good on the feet. I think he's one of the best strikers in the flyweight. But you know, it's not a sure thing. But I'm pretty confident Royval will find a way to, you know, either ride this one out for a 5-round decision or, you know, finish it late. I think this fight finishes late if there is a finish. So.
I agree. I just don't think Manel Kopp has enough power to put Royval out. Royval is a guy who has shown time and time again that he's got a chin on him. He's only been knocked out once, and that was by, injury versus Brandon Moreno.
Yeah.
Not even a real knockout. He's never been fully put out. I think this is Brandon Royval. I think Brandon Royval all the way. I actually can't believe that that's the number. It's Brandon Royval every day of the week for me. Moving in to our specialty predictions. None of them hit last week except Dean's top dog of Joshua Van. I had an 8-5-1 overall record in picks. Dean was 11-2-1. So stay away from whatever I say, basically. For my bankroll builder, my lock of the week, I'm going Cesare Oleksiejczuk. He was minus 150 when the week started. He's been bet all the way up to minus 205. It's not a great number that you can play by itself, but it's one I think is a lock.
Yeah. I had for mine I have Asplund here. I mean, by round 1 KO, you know, I have him just because Sean Sheriff, not a great heavyweight, and I said I like Asplund. I think he's good. I think he has the weight and has the power, and he's going to stand in front of this guy. I think this fight's going to end in round 1 nonetheless. So that's my lock right there. It's
also you're feeling frisky that we don't have numbers for the exact method of decision plus round yet. These are just estimated numbers.
I'm sure they're not great because
Asplund by KO round 1, I think would be around plus 200. Which is a pretty good number for something that's very possible.
Yeah.
Mine is going to be down a similar route. I'm going Guilherme Pat by KO round 1 for my feeling frisky.
Okay.
I think the other guy's an absolute can. I think Fry's terrible. That's all the thought that's really going into that one. I think Pat's just going to be able to hit him harder. Get rich quick scheme of the week for me. I'm going with the 2 dogs at the end of the card, Giga Chikadze and Brandon Royval, both sitting at plus 220. And then I'm also throwing on Steven Asplund at minus 235.
I like that. Mine is Pat. I got Pat on there. Not super confident in that one, but it's, hopefully he has good numbers and it contributes to the parlay. Bagdasarian, he's going to have good numbers too. He's probably going to be an underdog. I'd expect, you know. And then I had Steven Asplund again, you know, both of us have him there, and then Costa. So that's 4 fighters for you there that, you know, could get it done. And most of them are actually underdogs, so that could turn out to some serious plus money if that hits.
Yeah, if you like those picks, those are both sitting around plus 1350. So money to be made on this card. Lastly, top dog. You're going with?
I'm going my top dog, probably going to be Bagdasarian. If he is an underdog, I'd expect him to be. That's my dog of the card. You know, I think Bagdasarian should be. I don't know, what are the numbers right now saying?
He's sitting at plus 200.
Plus 200. That's a pretty hefty dog right there to take. But I think he's my dog of the card, and I think he's going to get it done.
I'm changing mine. It was going to be Neil Magny, but he's so old, anything could happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Brandon Royval.
I like that.
Plus 225. I think it's insane that number's out on him.
Yeah.
That's
for sure.
That's really just about all the thought that's going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, UFC Fight Night, Vegas 112 is coming up this weekend. It's the last card of the year. So that'll be all for Jab Cross Hook until January when we are previewing UFC 324. Have a great weekend, enjoy the fights, and we will see you next year.